Hello again. I'm Robin Walker with VSP Walker, and welcome to another VSP video blog. Thanks for joining me again. You know, it's that time of year, isn't it? It's the holiday season. We're getting to the beginning of the year when we all do that dreaded thing where we get excited. Don't get me wrong. We're all bully about it. We got to make our New Year's resolutions. That's what we do from a personal standpoint, but from a business standpoint, we do our strategic planning. And the leaders go away to their ivory tower, to their strategic planning session, and they come back with what it's going to take us to the next level, and all the projects that we need to do, and what the goals are for the year. It's a fantastic thing. And I by no means am belittling that process. I think that's good, because if you don't know where you're going, right, you don't know how you're going to get there. So while that's very important, let's break it down into really 4 things that matter when it comes to meeting your goals. And let's start by looking back at this year. Did you meet your goals? Did you get all your projects done? Did you make a difference? You can think from a business. You can think from a personal standpoint. I can personally tell you that I didn't make all the goals that I set for myself this year. And there's a reason for that. And I know what the reason is. So next year, I will try to do better. I will try to practice what I preach. So let's break that down a little bit. Let's start with that strategic planning session. Sometimes when I work with companies and facilitating strategic planning sessions, I want to say, forget it, guys. Here's what we're going to do. All we're going to do today is we're going to define what your core competencies are. We're going to talk about what core competencies need improvement. We're going to talk about what your customers value. What are they willing to pay you for? How do you make money? You know, I put on a different hat at these strategy planning sessions. I call it my profit velocity strategist hat, because there's so many projects that we could do. And let's think about it. We got all these leaders around the room, right? We have someone from HR, we have someone from IT, we have someone from the supply chain, from operations, manufacturing, scheduling, sales, customer service, the accounting, financial people. We have all these people around the room, and everyone wants to put in their 2 cents of what they're going to work on that year to make things better. But do we need something for every single person in that room? Not necessarily. We need to focus on the things that our customers value and our core competencies. So even if we don't add any new projects, if we just line up and say, these are our core competencies, and how can we get better at doing what we do already well, really, really great. You know, that might be enough, right? Because it's all about driving profit at the end of the day, and driving profit in a faster way with more velocity. So number 1, in the strategic planning, the takeaway from that is focus on your core competencies. Okay, don't get bogged down thinking that you haven't succeeded if you haven't defined 2 or 3 projects for everyone in the room. That's not your goal. It's not quantity, it's quality. Core competencies. Number 2, you're the leadership team. You now go back to your employees. You have to communicate to them what you expect of them and what you're going to focus on for the year. How do you do that? Well, there's a great method that I've utilized called the catch-ball method. And I'm not going to go into it in any detail in this blog. If you are interested in it, please email me or call me, and I'll be more than happy to send you a document that describes it in more detail. But the point of the catch-ball method is it requires employee involvement and a feedback loop between the leaders and the middle managers and the people doing the work, and back up until you have agreed on and settled upon a realistic way in which you can tactically deploy the projects you've defined and have some level of success. So that's number 2. Number 1 was core competency planning. Number 2 was make sure that you have employee involvement when you determine how you're going to tactically deploy the projects. Number 3 is execution. It really should be number 1. Execution is so key. You know, I try to live by the philosophy, and notice the big word try, which is another way to say I set myself up with an ability to fail, because I don't say I will, I say I try. But I try to live by the philosophy that when I start the day, I say, what can I do today to move my business forward? What can I do today to get myself the result and the goals that I've set for myself? And then what happens? All kinds of things. You guys know what happens. Phone starts ringing, emails start happening. All the things that come in and create all this sense of urgency in your life for that day takes over, and you get to the end of the day and you look back on it and you reflect. Hopefully you're looking back on it and reflecting, and you're saying, oh my gosh, Robin, how much time could you possibly have wasted today worrying about stuff and working on stuff that had no impact on the business or helping your clients? Stop doing that. And the next day you repeat that. You have to have that kind of discipline that every day you challenge yourself to that. Because what happens is you have these short-term and long-term plans, and you have the day-to-day emergencies. And I guarantee you the day-to-day emergencies, that chaos that happens in every manufacturer I've ever walked in, is going to take hold of you and not let you go, and you're not going to get to the projects, right? So that's key. It's key in the execution. It's key in the discipline that's required. And it starts at the top with leadership all the way down through the ranks. It's that discipline. So again, number one, planning. We're going to plan around our core competencies and how we're going to get better at what our customers value to drive profit. Number two, we're going to involve our employees in how we deploy tactically what we're trying to accomplish and how we're going to reach that goal. Number three, we're going to have disciplined, purposeful execution. Make sure we're setting time aside to work on those tasks. And number four, we need some kind of feedback and adjustment loop. So let's talk about that a little bit. What happens? Well, let's say that you've got these leaders, right? They're in this group. They know your business. They're rock solid leaders. They're great leaders. They're motivating, all this stuff. They come up with the perfect plan and the perfect projects. You guys know who you are. You're the leaders out there. You know what it's going to take to run your business. You've got it set for the rest of the year, right? Then what happens? Oh, major issue with the customer. Or all of a sudden you have this ability to go into a new industry that you never even considered back in December when you did your strategic planning. Feedback, adjustment. There is no way we can, at the end or beginning, whenever you do your planning, at the beginning of the year, determine what exactly is going to happen for the next 12 months. There's variability. There's things out there that are way beyond our control that's going to happen. You need to have a feedback and adjustment loop. So there's different kinds of feedback that you need to consider. Feedback from your employees as to, we're working on this, we thought we had it figured out how we're going to deploy and what we're going to do to get this result, but it's not working. We think we ought to try something different. Do you have a process in place to where you can get that feedback and react to it? But number two, really critically looking at what is happening through the year and if the projects that you've defined still make sense. It's interesting to me, and I am guilty of this, that I have all these ideas. And so I create all these tasks for myself that says I need to work on this, 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 and this. Then as my company and my business continues on, I realize that some of those tasks weren't nearly as important. If I don't have the discipline and the feedback loop for myself to say, those are no longer important, I'm going to take them completely off my plate, then what's going to happen? I'm going to overwhelm myself. I'm not going to accomplish anything. Or I'm going to work on those things that are no longer as important to my business and lose an opportunity when something new pops up. So very important. So again, 4 things. Number 1, in your planning, you're going to focus on your core competencies and how you're going to get better at doing what the customer values so you can drive profit velocity. Number 2, you're going to involve your employees to determine what is required, what do they need to do, and you together to get the results that you want to achieve. Number 3, you're going to have discipline and purposeful execution. And number 4, you're going to have a feedback loop and you're going to make adjustments as necessary. So that is what is going to be required to really meet your goals. Obviously, you got to have a lot of motivation and discipline. You guys all know that stuff, right? Right. So anyways, I want to leave you with a couple quotes that I want you to think about. One is something that you should think about on a day-to-day basis. John Wooden said it best. He said, don't mistake activity for accomplishment. That is so true. But another quote I want to leave you with is, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, said by Jim Rohn. So have a great holiday season. Thanks for joining me again, and happy holidays.